What's up, everyone? John Manson of the Seer Red back this week as we look at Liberty's game Saturday against Louisiana Tech. Flames 4-6, coming off two straight losses, first to Missouri State and then to FIU. Games that were decided in first overtime. So technically the last play of the game against the Panthers down in Miami at Pitbull Stadium this past week, and then a game against Missouri State, which was decided in the final minute of the game when they came back and scored a touchdown with less than a minute remaining to pick up the win. So that means Liberty is their backs against the wall as far as bowl eligibility and needing to win these last two games, beginning Saturday at Louisiana Tech and then next Saturday at home against Kennesaw State, who's currently in the mix for Conference USA championship game appearance. And you need to win both of those games to keep a couple of streaks alive. The first being bowl eligibility and getting to that 6-win mark and being bowl eligible for a seventh straight season. And every year at Liberty's FBS journey, FBS tenure, the Flames have been a bowl eligible team dating back, to the 2019 season. And the other streak that is even more impressive than that one is Liberty 19 straight seasons. This would be the 20th that Liberty has won at least 6 games in the season. It goes back to Danny Rocco, his first year leading the Flames in 2006. The team won 6 games that year and has won at least that much every year since then. You'd have to go back to the days of Ken Karcher when go back to the days of Ken Karcher when Liberty did not get to the 6-win total. His last year in 2005, going just 1-10 that season, with the only win coming against a Division II team, for what it's worth. So yeah, definitely a lot of history on the line. And if you're head coach Jamie Chadwell, you don't want to be the coach that has those streaks come to an end. If you're this senior class and this team, you don't want to be the team, the senior class that has those streaks come to an end on your watch. So I do fully expect Liberty to come out motivated, hungry, wanting to win. Just because you want to win doesn't mean you're going to win. I mean, you could put your best out there and it still not be good enough, and you still have to execute and things like that as well too. And for Louisiana Tech, I mean, this is a team under Sonny Cumbie in his 4th season. I mean, he's on the hot seat and probably coaching for his job, looking to get to 6 wins for the first time in his 4 years and get to a bowl game for what would actually be a second straight year. They went after a 5-7 campaign a season ago. They got into the bowl game that I think it was the Independence Bowl that Marshall backed out of due to not having enough players to even field a team when their coach took another job, went to Southern Miss. So Louisiana Tech definitely wants a win as well too. It's a couple of interesting points or stats. Liberty has never won a game in the state of Louisiana. Haven't played a ton down there. Never played at Louisiana Tech. Losing to Louisiana Lafayette, now goes by the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, 35-14 in 2019, and then lost at Louisiana Monroe. Kind of an embarrassing loss, similar to that Kennesaw State game last year. Lost that game 31-28 back in 2021. So Liberty's trying to get the first ever win down in the boot in the state of Louisiana. Brylan Green. If you haven't seen our somewhat of a feature notebook item on him returning to his home state, former All-American and an All-Conference performer, one of Liberty's best players and team leaders, getting to go back to his home state. This is the first and only time of his college career he'll get to play in front of his home family, so that's cool for him. But yeah, the Bulldogs, they got off to a really strong start. I mean, they were 4-1 on the season. The only loss coming to LSU. Their defense was doing really good, not letting anybody score on them. Even LSU, they held the Tigers to less than 30 points in that loss. And they got off to a really good start. It felt like Louisiana Tech was kind of the team to beat through the first month and a half of the college football season. The team to beat in Conference USA. I mean, they were, like I said, 4-1. They picked up their first two wins in conference play. They beat New Mexico State 49-14. They also beat UTEP 30-11 on the road. They also had a win over the aforementioned Southern Miss and Charles Huff, who's their coach, 30-20. Which Southern Miss is in the hunt. I believe they're likely to win the Sun Belt West and would likely play JMU in the Sun Belt title games. I mean, that was a really good win. I mentioned the loss 23-7 at LSU. It is what it is. But things kind of flipped. At the midpoint of the season, and they've gone obviously 1-4 since then. They're 5-5 on the season. They got blown out at Kennesaw 35-7. That was kind of the game that you felt like if La Tech won that game, they would remain first of all undefeated in conference play, but also kind of in the driver's seat to get to the conference championship game. But Kennesaw State stole the spotlight on that Thursday night down in Kennesaw and just dominated that game and showed that they were for real. And then Western Kentucky beat La Tech in Ruston in overtime, 28-27, and that's the only game this season La Tech has lost at home. So Liberty, looking for their first win in Louisiana and looking to do something that not many teams, only Western Kentucky has done this season, and that's to beat La Tech on their home field. The Bulldogs did rebound to beat Sam Houston at home, 55-14. Sam Houston's obviously turned it around here the last couple of weeks, but since then, two straight losses. Lost to Delaware, 25-24, and then lost this past week at Washington State in a non-conference game, 28-3. They got Senior Day Saturday against the Liberty, 3 o'clock Eastern kick, 2 o'clock local kick, and their final game's at Missouri State, which would be a really tough game. So this is a game like if La Tech's going to become bowl eligible, it's going to be, certainly they feel like they need to win this game against the Flames. Couple points on the Bulldogs. Cumbie is a former quarterback at Texas Tech. Kind of began his career coaching quarterbacks and offense side of the ball, and kind of has had a air raid type system. Typically has a quarterback puts up a lot of numbers. This year that hasn't been the case. The offense has kind of struggled. It's been the defense that's led the way for them, but I think a lot of that is due to the inconsistent quarterback play and really the injuries at quarterback. If you go back and look, Trey Kukuk, I assume that's how you say his name, Kukuk. Interesting spelling, but he started the first two games at quarterback, and then Cumbie made a switch, went to Blake Baker, who started 7 or 8 games there throughout the middle part of the season, threw for over 1,200 yards, had 5 touchdowns, but he tore his ACL in the loss to Delaware 2 weeks ago, and then last week against Washington State, it was Kukuk and Evan Bullock both got some time playing. They kind of rotated a little bit early in the game, but Bullock suffered an injury in that game, and he's going to miss the rest of the regular season. So each of the last 2 weeks, La Tech has lost a quarterback, and now they're down to Kukuk, who you could say, I guess he's the second string quarterback, but maybe third. He and Bullock were kind of right there, 2A and 2B. At least it appeared that way. Trey, I'll call him that from now on, completed 5 of 8 passes for 24 yards and an interception in a loss to Washington State. Obviously not very good. He did run 9 times for 39 yards. So he's, more of a dual threat guy. I mentioned he started the first 2 games of the season, so he's the guy that won that quarterback battle coming out of training camp, but obviously didn't play very well. The offense has struggled due mainly to those inconsistencies. They're 11th in the conference in passing yards, last in the league with just 7 passing touchdowns, 10th in total passing offense, 8th in total offense, averaging 28 points a game. That's actually fourth in the conference. Rushing attack is fourth in the league. 175 yards a game, 4.34 yards per rush. Few different performers in the skill positions on offense, but it's been the defense that's kind of been their calling card. Really, especially early in the season, you saw some of those lopsided scores where they've given up more points here recently, but Louisiana Tech actually leads the country with defensive touchdowns. They have 7, and have done it both in a variety of ways: 5 pick sixes and 2 fumble returns for a touchdown. They lead Conference USA with 15 interceptions on the season. Top scoring defense in the conference, 24th nationally, holding teams at just under 19 points per game. They're the top rushing defense in Conference USA, 41st in the country, holding teams 127 yards per game. Um, so it's going to be a tough test, tough challenge for the Liberty offense. I really feel like the key to the game is Liberty being able to run the ball successfully behind Evan Dickens, who's come on a lot these last 3 games, specifically going over the 100-yard mark 3 straight weeks. It's kind of led this Liberty rushing attack to average over 200 yards rushing the last 3 games, which coming into that Delaware game 3 weeks ago, Liberty hadn't surpassed the 200-yard rushing mark all season. Now they've done it multiple times here in the past 3 weeks. And if Liberty can run the ball, maybe get an early lead, and force Louisiana Tech to have to play catch up, to have to pass, force Trey to have to pass the ball, knowing that Liberty is coming after him, and Liberty knowing that he has to pass the ball. I think that plays into Liberty's defensive strength. It plays into the weakness of the Louisiana Tech team. So that's really key. If you can run the ball, because then if you're ahead, you can run the ball a lot more, right? You can rely on that ground game and try to chew up the clock and keep your defense fresh and rested. So, and like I said, make it where Louisiana Tech has to pass, and they haven't shown a lot of success doing that this season. That certainly can change. We've seen quarterbacks come from nowhere and have a good game against Liberty, and you don't want to see that Saturday. But I think that's kind of the key to the game for the Flames. If you look at the betting line, it's gone back and forth between La Tech being favored by 1.5 points to Liberty being favored by as many as 3. It's kind of gone back and forth depending on where you look. It's either La Tech by 1.5 or Liberty by 1.5. So it's a game that many expect to be decided in the fourth quarter. I would expect the game to be decided in the fourth quarter. Liberty's had several games this season. Most of their Conference USA games have been decided in the fourth quarter, including these last 2, Missouri State and FIU, like we talked about a minute ago. And then you go back to that Jack State game that was decided late, and then also the Bowling Green game as well, and even the UTEP game. Like Liberty kind of controlled that game, but the Miners kind of made a late push and made it interesting there in the fourth quarter. New Mexico State was a close one as well too. So Liberty's been used to close games that kind of come up on the wrong end of them at least these last 2 weeks. So it's a game. Again, go back and listen to our podcast. We talked about the bigger picture, and we've talked about that before. In this space previously this season, that this content is to focus exclusively on the game. So we've talked about some of the bigger picture items facing this Liberty football team right now and going into the end of the season on the podcast this week and the last couple of weeks. So make sure you go in and check that out. And but I don't think it changes no matter what you do these next 2 weeks. I don't think it changes much of that discussion. I mean, sure, you would rather, win a couple games, here, win this game and make that game next week against Kennesaw State mean something, be for something. If you lose this game, then, you lose bowl eligibility and you're not really playing for anything next week against the Owls except for pride. If you can win this one, you can make that game mean a lot. Mean a lot for Liberty, obviously trying to get to a bowl game. Mean a lot for Kennesaw State, probably needing that game to still be in the hunt for a Conference USA championship appearance. So, last road trip for the Flames. Hopefully the team can come out on top, play well. Win the turnover margin. It's kind of the same thing every week, right? In these Conference USA games, which your Coach Chad will talk about, like the talent now might not have used to been this way, but a couple years ago. But in his eyes, which is hard not to agree with him, Liberty is on par talent wise with the rest of the league. And so it's a few plays one way or the other each game that decides the game. That's the way it's been most of these Conference USA games, and I would expect Saturday in Ruston to be no different. Now it is supposed to be decent weather. There's a chance of showers, thunderstorms in the morning, but it seems by game time that goes away, at least at the time of this recording. And it's also supposed to be in the 70s, maybe even into the 80s. So good weather. Will be warm down in Ruston, and like I said, hopefully the Flames can get back on track, stop this two-game losing skid, and keep those hopes for a bowl game. You would hate to go into the last week of the regular season with literally nothing to play for, like I said, other than your pride. So would love to quote unquote extend the season one more week and get a win down Louisiana Tech, a team that's never beaten the Flames. And we had that happen last week. FIU had never beaten Liberty and got their first ever win over the Flames. And you're also battling for your conference finish. I mean, Liberty probably can't get much higher than fifth place, which is not much to brag about in Conference USA. But I mean, if you lose these last two games, I mean, instead of being a potential fifth place finish, you're probably looking at a seventh, eighth, ninth place finish, which is really tough to swallow, tough pill to swallow. But anyways, that'll do it for our recap or our preview, I guess, of this upcoming game Saturday down in Ruston, Louisiana. Make sure you're locked into See It Red, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, seeitred.com. Like us, follow us, share, subscribe, all those good things. It helps us out, helps make sure our content gets to more Liberty fans and followers, and helps us continue to do this. I mean, it's not easy to continue to pump out the content all the time and it's more challenging also when teams not performing as well as we want them to. But we're still there. Cedar Red not going anywhere, and it's fun even when there's a few losses. It's fun to follow this team and something I'm passionate about, obviously. And we appreciate you guys joining us and following along and sharing your comments and being passionate. I mean, it's not something that 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, Liberty did not have as passionate of a fan base, and I'm thrilled, excited that we have such a larger fan base than we did a few years ago. It's continuing to grow, but hopefully we can keep that momentum moving forward. Seen a lot of success on the mountain across all sports, really, and many sports as well. Had a good fall season and hope to continue that. Looks like we will continue that into the winter, and hopefully we can finish the football season out on a high note. Anyways, thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Go Flames.